Music, music. So welcome to Talks That Matter. And the whole idea behind these talks is really that, we get together as midlife women and have open and honest conversations about different aspects of navigating life during this period, whether we're Gen Xers or whether we're midlifers, whatever you want to call us, right? I don't think we like labels that much. So today's topic, we're talking about wellness. And I think wellness for me isn't just about one aspect of, say, fitness or nutrition. Wellness for me is on lots of different levels, the physical, the mental, and the spiritual as well. And I'm joined today by these wonderful women. So we have, first of all, Maria. Maria, I don't know how to pronounce your surname, Maria. Is it Honoka?
Yeah.
Honoka. Maria is a holistic health and cancer support coach, chiropractic clinic co-owner, and she's an author. She's also a cancer survivor, and she's got a cookbook out. It's fantastic. We have it at the studio. So Maria's all about encouraging and empowering others to achieve optimal health and well-being. Then I'm going to go around my screen. I've got Sarah Norman. Sarah, I've known for the best part of my adult life.
Yeah. A good 20 years. Yeah. 22 years.
22 years or so from the Les Mills world. And Sarah is a life coach, a wellness coach, and she supports people through moving forward through life coaching, yoga, meditation, and emotional freedom technique as well. Yeah, so that's Sarah. Then we have Hannah. Hannah, I came across through networking, probably during lockdown.
Yeah.
And Hannah really helped me through perimenopause during that time. So Hannah is a natural menopause specialist focusing on menopause, and she helps you claim your health through herbal medicine, which is what I saw Hannah for, advanced hypnotherapy and Reiki as well. Then we have Vicky Midwood. We met years ago through the fitness industry, but then I stumbled across Vicky through networking. And so Vicky, I was just what you've sent me. He's a human health optimizer. How amazing is that title? And addiction eliminator. So she's a health coach, consultant, speaker, podcaster, educator, and has over 33 years experience in the world of health and wellness. And she busts the myths and bullshit around human health and addiction based on science fact. So it's so lovely to have you here, Vicky. And then finally, Kerry. Kerry is we've never met him. Have we met in person? I don't know if we met in person.
If we have, it was about 100 years ago.
Probably. So Kerry Barnes is a women's wellness coach, and she works with businesses to help improve their staff wellness. She presents at corporate events. She presents at fitness and Pilates events and retreats. She's got an online exercise library. This woman is like, I look at her and I feel really tired because she's full on and she lives life to the full. And she's an author and creator of The Years of Change, a program dedicated to women during menopause years. I think we could do a menopause talk. Just come back and just do a menopause one. So thank you, everybody, for being here. And I'm just going to this is an open conversation about what does wellness mean for you today compared to earlier in life? Has that changed at all? Anybody want to go for normies? Sarah's nodding. Do you want to go, Sarah?
Do you know, so has. I used to look at wellness to be like, holiday. That was for me. Now it's just my mental state. Completely. I used to think wellness was what you did if you went to a spa. That was wellness. And it was a specific day out or it was a holiday. Now it's like I've just taught yin yoga and I've just given myself and everybody in that room well-being by just balancing the headspace, calming down, getting a little bit more of a lateral approach to what is happening, and coping differently. So yeah, for me, it's a lot more in the head more. It's a lot more how I think, my responses, my reactions, and managing that much more than just a spa day when I was young.
Get my nails done.
Yeah, that was wellness. Now it's like, oh no, no, no.
Hannah, what about for you?
I think the thing I've noticed is just how much you have to up your game when it comes to wellness in midlife. And you can't get away with drinking alcohol. You can't get away without daily exercise because you get stiff and overweight, and your body just forces you to prioritize your well-being a bit more. And I was having a bit of a laugh with a friend the other day about the sheer number of stuff we have to have, arch supports, and more medicine, a cream to put on your rash on your foot, and like I never had to do all this before. I could get away with anything, and now I'm like, oh gosh, look at all this stuff I have to do and all this stuff I have to have just to keep myself going. But I don't think I'm the only one in that boat. So yeah, like you said, it becomes more of an everyday thing, a part of your routine, and not just a day out at the spa. And so it should be. And in a way, it's a shame we kind of wait till midlife and we're forced into that corner before we do prioritize our well-being in that way.
Yeah. You were talking about alcohol, like when my early days when I was in the Les Mills team, my nickname was Hardcore because I used to drink the boys under the table, and I used to play women's rugby, and I used to drink a lot. And now we have no alcohol at home at all. It's just so different.
You were also hardcore though, because you could do all that and then turn up and do body combat just as fierce as everyone else, my friend.
Can't do that now. Do that now. Carrie, how about you?
Well, I think having been professionally dance trained, and movement and exercise and music and all of that stuff has been in my blood since I was so young. And then I think it became, in the late 80s when I moved over to teaching fitness. For me, I suppose the wellness wasn't a word that was used then, but I thought that fitness and nutrition was it, and I knew that I loved walking in nature, and I've always loved all of those things, but I didn't recognize that as something that was contributing to my wellness. So I think as I've got older, I've realized that I've been doing a lot of things that have been great for my wellness, but I never even realized that that's what, that was pressing the button. I just kind of thought I'm fit, I eat healthily. I never considered mental well-being, and when I look back at professional dance school, I think we should have had some help with that. I always wanted to teach, but I look back at some of my peers and I think, oh my God, they were a mess, really. So I think it kind of comes with age, and the stages of life we've been through, that wellness and well-being wasn't really a word that we threw around. And so we might have been doing things that were really contributing to that through our youth. Maybe we didn't realize, but it's then for me now, am I doing those things mindfully? And that's the difference for me, is that I've realized that walking in nature is actually contributing to my mental well-being. And I never thought of it that way before. So I think it's the realization of, things that we do in our life actually really contributing to our wellness. So I think the difference for me is like the penny dropping and like, oh, so this is good for me. Maybe I'll do a bit more of that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to just switch the question up slightly. So Vicky, I know you've been in health and wellness for a long time, for like decades. Was there a specific moment that led you to rethink your approach to health and well-being?
I got into it for very strange and selfish and sad reasons. I got into health and wellness because for me.
Oh my God. That's okay. That's all right.
Yeah, so I got into health and wellness because basically I had an eating disorder. And so for me, fitness and diet and looking a certain way, equated me feeling better about who I was as a person. Obviously, over the years, that's changed significantly, thankfully. And now I definitely know that after I came out of rehab for alcohol, I still had issues with body image and food. But my whole approach to how I felt about me as a person and health and wellness had completely changed. And that's what led me down the path of really becoming a coach. And then it changed again when I recognized that I had autoimmune issues, which were very much linked to my past and my eating disorders. And so recognizing that a lot of those autoimmune issues were down to how I was thinking and how I'd thought in the past, as well as the damage I'd physiologically done. And then another shift when I had a heart attack in 2018, and recognizing that it's so easy to think that because I'm fit physically and now mentally and emotionally, so I thought, stress is something you don't necessarily recognize kind of stacks up and takes its toll. So for me now, staying well and being well is about being able to continue supporting my daughter, who is on the spectrum and so needs my help and support. But also, I've been a single mom since she was a bump. And so it's down to me. Both of my parents are no longer around. And so it literally is up to me. And it's vital that I keep myself mentally, spiritually, physically, and emotionally in a good space. And that means that it's a priority for me no matter what. I have to look after my health and wellness.
So there have been several moments really
Yeah.
in your life, right? In your journey. Yeah, amazing, amazing. Maria, what about you?
I think sort of a lot of things have been said that I can relate to. I think having sort of been through cancer, stage 3 cancer when I was 40. So your earlier question was, how did I used to see, what was wellness? Like someone else was saying, I think back in your 30s, probably just eating well and exercising and, being a good weight and all that. But then, 40s, and sort of late 40s now, and after a cancer diagnosis, for me, I think, less is more as well, and a sort of simple life. And even the food for me was a huge therapy. And even though I ate well before, but I think food, was only one aspect. But I think looking at other aspects, like Vicky was saying, past trauma or stress, I don't think before, when you're younger, you think, you can do all those things and you can be healthy, even if you're really stressed or busy or running around. And I think where I'm now, like in my 40s, I think, keeping a balance and, filling your cup and keeping that energy up is kind of vital and crucial in order to carry on with all the other things that goes on in your life. So, I think those things for me, definitely.
Do any of you feel, how do you feel with the younger generation? Do you feel that they have a different perception or attitude towards wellness and well-being these days compared to, when we were younger?
I definitely think they have a different aspect to, well, I don't know, it could just be me, but to what youth is more so, I think. Not necessarily wellness, but youth. I think there's this perception that, we should look, when we're in our 50s and 60s, we should still look 20 and, just plaster it on with various treatments. And I just think it's really unrealistic for the younger, like my children coming, luckily I don't have girls, but, coming after us, like how can you live up to all of that? I think that for me, I think is definitely a different view. But I don't know about sort of wellness in general.
I think there's a lot of young people are still very much how I was when I was young, focused on the aesthetics of it. But I think we've got then a completely another side that I wasn't aware of, but I think that social media has definitely opened up, is to them talking about mental health much, much more than we ever did. It's a conversation now that is being had, not necessarily in a healthy way, but it is being spoken about. And so I think that's a definite shift. But I still think there's a big separation between physical health and mental health, which as we get older, and I think all of us in this room recognize, it's all of those. It has to be mental, spiritual, physical, and emotional. But I think the young people are still very much this or this. And I don't know how we're going to change that. I don't think it's that different, to be honest.
I think what they have at their disposal is perhaps slightly different. Information's more readily available,
Yeah.
perhaps with the scroll of a phone. It used to be just, I think when I was growing up, it's like, plastic surgery in its infancy. But nowadays it's like, it's so common, isn't it, to have fillers or whatever else they do. I don't know, Botox and things
It
like
is,
that.
and women in their 20s are being encouraged to start now, because if you don't start now, you're not starting at the right time, and that is so scary. My eldest granddaughter will be 12 this year, and I've got 5, soon to be 6 grandchildren, and I kind of live in fear to what they're walking into, and the games that they have on their technology are about being in a changing room and dressing and having what shape lips are you having and all of this kind of thing, and this is 11 years old, or even 10 or 9 or 8 years old. So for me that is all about aesthetics, and I think they're already aware of mental well-being. They're taught that this is important, and I think they're taught the value of movement and exercise, but I don't think it's in balance.
No. So talking about balance then, how do you, quite a few of us here are multi-passionate, so we've got fingers in different pies, whether it's Reiki or Sarah, have you got enough fingers? You know, whether it's Reiki or coaching or whatever it is, how do you find that balance for yourself from a mental health perspective, from a spiritual perspective, in keeping it all together or not?
I think for me, that's a
I
simple
laugh at the
question
or
to
not.
answer. Yeah, I think being flexible has got to be the thing. I think when I was younger, but I genuinely believe things had to be a certain way. And even when I stepped into looking more at how to help myself feel and function better, down to the morning routine, this is what it should look like. Now I'm just like, no, as long as I'm flexible and I can tune in and actually listen to what my body is telling me, that flexibility is important. There are certain things that I will always do, and I will always get some fresh air at some point. I will always exercise and move my body at some point, and I will always hydrate because I have no choice. I have a permanently dry mouth thanks to one of my autoimmune issues. And so I think for me that's it. It's being flexible and tuning in to my needs.
I agree with Vicky's. I think we can't afford to be obsessive about how we do things. We just need to know that they're in our life and that we do prioritize things. Like my walking is non-negotiable. It happens, whatever. But sometimes it's shorter and sometimes I've got longer. But I think if we set ourselves this, really rigid pattern, we can be disappointed and then feel like we're not attaining what we set out for. And I think as long as we feel like we're giving ourselves time and actually me time, and we're using that properly, we have to be realistic about how much time that is. And sometimes it's less and sometimes it's more.
Hannah?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because I've always been naturally what you call like a high achiever, type A kind of very driven sort of person. And so I've got my herbal practice, then I'm also a carer for my son, and that's 20 hours a week of care that he needs, and then I do the usual mum partner jobs that most of us do. And so I decided a few years ago I was going to have to drop a day of work a week. So I was taking Fridays off, but now I've taken on my new clinic on Friday, so I have to have a different day off. That made a massive difference. Actually, I could kind of go a lot longer between breaks on 4 days a week. I'm quite fortunate. My parents are still in reasonably good health at the moment. My son's growing up and becoming more independent, so he doesn't need me so much. And he's at that age where he wants to earn money to buy different things. So I kind of give him jobs, and he goes and does that for money. He came and helped at my workshop at the weekend. So it kind of just happens. We just muddle through day to day, and I don't know honestly how it works, but we seem to kind of have a reasonable balance at the moment. But then at the same time, if I feel myself starting to kind of get a bit overwhelmed, or needing to rein it in a bit, then I will stop and do that. And again, that that has to be top priority, because I don't know about you, but if I fall over, then the whole house of cards comes down as well. If you look at how many people are depending on you to show up in different ways every day, you have to prioritize your health. There's no two ways about it. So yeah, it just kind of, for me, it just kind of works itself out, really.
I mean, when I remember when I first came to you, I thought you really had systems in place, good systems in place for a new client, and then an ongoing client you brought into a package. It was very streamlined, and I thought, well, at the time, I thought, well, that's a great way to run a business. It's just you knew what you wanted, and your clients fitted into that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do have my friend working for me as well, part-time.
Yeah.
And, the accountant might say, well, is it really worth paying someone else to do that stuff when you can do it yourself? But absolutely, even on the leaner months, it enables me to have a life that's reasonably well balanced. And I love working with her as well. It's nice to have someone just to talk to and bounce ideas off. And financially, you might say, well, it's not a great move, but in terms of work-life balance, it's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Maria, what about you?
I just think we're probably all the same here, but I think the fact that being self-employed can give you these opportunities. I mean, as well as you can take on too much, but for me, especially post children and post cancer, my mother-in-law often says, the way that I work, I don't work 9 to 5 day in and day out, but that gives me these windows where I can do things for myself, which I don't always do, but I also know when I don't do them and my body tells me to piss off. But you need to make the time, and even like you say, if it's minutes of time here and there, then you just got to grab them. But I think being self-employed for me has given me the opportunity to do that, and to have more time with my children, be in that taxi, or having the important conversations with my 2 boys, or having the evenings together, where I wouldn't have been able to do that if I perhaps worked 9 till 6. And I also know that directly after cancer, there's no way that I would have been able to walk straight back into a full-time job and being able to pace myself back to some sort of normality. Because like I said, I know straight away now, if I do too much, I just know that I need to slow down. So it's going back to simplifying, if I can.
Yeah, amazing. Sarah, how many balls are you juggling?
Lots. You told me off already. I'm a color coder, so I'm a scheduler. So I like what I allow myself, like what Vicky said, with allowing yourself a little bit of budroom. So I schedule everything in my diary. I don't. There's nothing that isn't in there, and then I highlight it. So I've got like the color orange is clients, the color yellow is me, personal, blue is my business, green is Les Mills, red, pink is classes, teaching classes and stuff. And so I schedule my diary, and then I'm color code it, and it just gives me an overview of what's my next week look like on a balance. And if there's no yellow, what can I put in there that gives me something for me, even if it's just on the Sunday afternoon? And quite often I now choose a Friday night. I come home late, about 8:15 from teaching up in Nottingham, and then that's my night where I have a bath, I put face back on, I'll have a bit of downtime, and I just ease out of the physical week and into the weekend. Although our life doesn't mean it's a day off on Saturday, it just means that I'm kind of giving myself at least that one thing on a schedule. But if that doesn't happen, it's okay, because I've got other things that's going on. So I just schedule, and sometimes it's okay that there's no blue or green that week. It just means that I'm honing in and I'm focusing on other stuff. But I'm conscious that if that goes on for too long and I'm not giving attention everywhere I love to, then that's what I have to then sort of find ways of saying no again to something, which is really hard to do when you're a giver, to say no. But it was something I had to practice early on, and go, okay, no, actually, no, I can't do that. I'm not going to push myself. I actually feel myself needing to do something else right now.
Yeah.
Sarah, I think I need to steal this idea, this colour coding, because
Great. I don't show you the disaster, but that is this week. I said, Clancy, this is not a week.
Because I've
got so much going flying around, but then there's other weeks it's quite nice, and it's just nice, and you tick it off as well. I got rid of to-do lists, because to-do lists are stress lists, and you never achieve it. It's always bigger, it grows, it never reduces. So now all I do every day, I get to tick off all the things I did today, and it feels achieved, it feels organized, I feel structured, and I've got a lot of play.
My husband about to-do lists, please. Can you tell him it's a bad idea?
It's terrible. I
had a friend who made to-do lists. So instead of writing down what she should do, she wrote down everything she had done and went, ta-da! That's my to-do list. It was like, that's brilliant.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Someone I met through networking said that instead of having a to-do list, she prefers to call it an action list as well, or achievement list.
I just found lists become all over the show, and lists have no structure. Lists has no time frame. And so when I put it in a schedule, that's why I'm still a hard copy diary girl, because I literally go, okay, I actually don't have time for that this week. I've got all these things in my to-do list, but I won't. I'll schedule it, and I plan, and I go through a few weeks, and I go, that's the week I'm going to focus on that, and try to, I avoid all lists other than, of course, going away, packing list. That's still the same. Toothpaste. I mean, why am I still writing that? But
yeah, I tend to put things in, like I will have no more than 3 things per day that I need to make sure that I tick off. The other thing is I do like color coding my diary, but I do have white space. So every day I always have white space. White space means I can lie and have a nap with the cat. I can do whatever I want in white space. So it's not scheduled me time. It's just white space.
I love that.
Cool. So I'm conscious also. I don't know what happened to Kerry. Kerry seems to have dropped off. So just to wrap up, I know because Hannah also needs to go, is what's a final sort of takeaway or word of wisdom you would have for midlife women on wellness? Should we start with Hannah in case you do have to pop off?
Yeah, I mean, the way I work with my clients is that we work on tiny baby steps, because small changes can make a really big difference, not just in midlife, but, for the rest of your life after that. We just don't get to hear about the benefits of those steps. They're out there, but you just need to really dig to look for them. So I would say just pick one thing, stick to it, and praise yourself constantly when you do it, because then that will motivate you to do more. But yeah, just do one thing at a time.
Wonderful. Vicky?
I think, I mean, Hannah's spot on there. It's focusing on one thing and recognizing that it's okay to say no, and you don't have to validate it or come up with a justification for it. If it doesn't feel good, then just say no.
That's weird.
Just say no. Awesome. Maria?
I actually had written something down. I was thinking along the lines of what Hannah said, but it's just with like wellness or healing for many people as well is a process and a lifestyle. It's not a quick fix goal, and I think it's important to remember that there'll be setbacks, and if you fall off and you don't do something that you're meant to be doing, it's absolutely okay to start again. And it's never too late to start something. So yeah, just get up and start again. And like Hannah was saying, little steps and little changes, with time, it will all grow. So just because whatever it is that goes wrong, if it goes wrong once, doesn't mean you're going to fail altogether. You just got to keep going.
Absolutely. And Sarah?
I always suggest stacking. So stacking something that's new and positive on something you do during the day. So every morning you'll sit and clean your teeth. So in that 2 minutes with a brush is brushing, you could sit on the edge of the side of the bath, or just stand and think, how do I want to show up today? How do I want to be for me today? How do I want to be for those in front of me in this day? Or just get your day in order, or simply just distract yourself. Think about cleaning your teeth, focus on it, and not do something for your mind. Just shut it down if it started to already get a bit worried with things that's on your mind. So anything you do, making a cup of tea, making your bed, little things, then of course the bigger journeys in the car, something like that, something you're already doing, guaranteed to be doing. How could you stack something on top of it so it doesn't consume any more time? I don't have time for that. You do if you stack and plan your stacking process and what that looks like for each person.
Thank you, Sarah. Kerry, you back?
I am, and now I can only see me on the screen, so I don't.
Oh, that's all right. You're on. We're
see
just
you.
wrapping up. We're just wrapping up. So
Yeah,
is there one final?
my
go
Wi-Fi
on.
just dropped out completely. I'm so sorry.
That's all right. Is there one final takeaway or word of wisdom you've got from midlife women on wellness?
Well, obviously I've just missed the last few minutes, but mine, I think mine is, it's probably a bit profound, really. It's kind of like embrace the fact that you change, because we are meant to change in midlife, and embrace those changes. And actually, I'd say, the journey can be a little bit bumpy, but I always say to people, be glad that you're on that journey, even if it is a bit bumpy. And I think, as we travel through midlife and out the other side of menopause, life can be amazing. It can be one of the best stages of the life that we have. And I just think that too many women think that it's very miserable going through midlife, and actually, there's the bumps along the way. Let's experience them, and let's be glad that we are here to experience them.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you everyone for being here. I know it feels a bit short and sweet, but we could always arrange. I think we can arrange another one where we may be talking about something a bit more specific. I will have, so for those of you that are watching, I'll put everyone's contact details in the description, so you can, reach out to them. And, if you find that you connect with them and resonate with them, or get on their email list or something like that as well. So, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
for having
you.
us.
Lovely to
Nice
meet
to
you
see
all.
you all.
Take care.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
Anne.